Well, I hope you enjoyed your dinner. I'd also like to say thank you to Sodexo because they helped sponsor partial of this dinner. So again, thank you, Sodexo. I'd be remiss also if I didn't mention the people who helped stage the event. So again, Krista, your team, thank you for what you've done. Again, this seems to be a tradition for Fort Wayne Community Schools, and I think it's a well-deserved tradition we want to continue for many, many years. So with that said, we do have some special guests. So we do have our board members here. So if we have our board members rise for just a second. So I see Maria Norman, of course we've seen Raleigh Booker, Steve Corona, and yes, we have Noah. Thank you for being here as well. So the way this rolls, I will have some comments that have been written about our retirees. We'd like for the retiree to come to the stage. Yes, if you'd so choose. You don't have to, but if you'd like to. Plus, I think some of you might even want to say a few words. Again, it's not you have to, it's optional. But again, this is, again, a tribute to you, a tribute to your service. I look at the years, and I'll start, when I start announcing folks, the years you have served Fort Wayne Community Schools, it's rather remarkable. And I'll say, as we look at Fort Wayne Community Schools and the history of Fort Wayne Community Schools, we've, this past year, lost some icons. Like Dr. Wendy Robinson. And you think of the devotion that Dr. Robinson had, you think of the devotion that you've had. Again, we want your retirement to be one where you enjoy the next phase of many phases to come. But again, having the energy, having the strength, and having the ability to interact with your loved ones, your grandchildren, significant others. Yes, there are days that we sort of shake our head and go, man, that seems awful nice. When's that going to happen? Is that going to happen sooner than later? So I'll just say thank you. Thank you for, again, your devotion, your dedication to not just the field of education, but really to each of our students. And I think we're making some strides in meeting some of the metrics that we've been always wanting to do in years when we were very successful and sort of thinking, okay, not necessarily reinvent ourselves, but quite frankly, we're in a market-driven system. And we need to have best programs. We need to have best teachers. We need to have best students. And we're seeing some remarkable things happen. And I can give you some, very proud of the fact Snyder football won the state championship. We had Northside Jazz won the state championship. We've had robotics team first year go to the world championships in Houston. We've had, and I can go on and on and on. But I think the secret has been we're including our community in this journey. Probably, prior to COVID, yes, but when COVID hit, we had a shutdown. And it's been that way across our entire country. But I think people are looking at FWCS as a leader of how you bring community to be involved, to be engaged, how you bring relevancy into the classrooms, and the result has been student success. So I point to our 3DE program. We call it now Schools of Success, powered by 3DE. It's really a partnership between Ford NGL, Next Generation Learning, and a partnership between Junior Achievement in Northern Indiana. We are seeing companies that are interacting with our students right now at the high school level. It's been piloted. Next year it goes wall to wall in every one of our high schools. But we're also seeing it move into our middle school, into our elementary school. And quite frankly, if we believe really literacy's our highest priority, we can't do that alone. We've tried that. There's only so much bandwidth for a teacher, for administrator, for support staff in our buildings. And it's not for lack of effort, it's how do we bring people alongside us to assist us in that journey. So again, volunteerism. How do we see this scale to a level that, quite frankly, we've never seen before? But man, if we could create a blanket of support for our first graders, our second graders, and our third graders, especially those who are struggling, we know how important that is. But a very simple goal, literacy. The state has just created a new diploma system. Yes, it's being debated, and there will be revisions, as there should be. But that new diploma aligns perfectly with where we are with our Portrait of a Graduate, which is about student competencies such as communication, collaboration, cultural agility. Perfectly aligns. But how do we make that from pre-K to 12th grade? So how does it truly resonate, and how do we bring our community into this partnership? So man, I want to say, I wish our retirees were here a few more years, because you have unbelievable expertise. But don't be strangers. Please return in some way when you're ready, after you've had a time to travel the world for a year or so, and you spent all your retirement dollars, and now, hey, we're still open for business. So we would love to have you still part of the Fort Wayne Community School family. So with that said, our first person is Charles Kamick, Jr. So all of us know Charles. He was Chief Operations Officer, 15 years of service. But we know the Kamick family. Kamick family's a cornerstone of Fort Wayne. And so happy to see your family here, Charles. I know you're very pleased and proud for their support. As Chief Operations Officer, Charles was in charge of several departments. Now listen to this. This is a very long list. Communication and marketing, health and wellness, human resources, technology, transportation. Charles, you want to come back? Transportation. Charles was probably best known for being the person who made the decision on whether schools would be on a 2-hour delay, closed because of fog or ice, snow, or freezing temperatures. But no matter what challenge he was facing, if you asked Charles how he was doing, you knew the answer. Quote, just peachy. He was always full of advice for his staff members. Someone aggravating you? Be kind, he would advise. About to make an error in judgment? That's not a career-enhancing decision, he would warn. And if you tried to convince him of something questionable, he would remind you, I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. So I will just tell you, an honorable man, a man with integrity, and a person that our community will always need, as well as his family. So thank you, Charles. You're more than welcome to say a few words.
Krista, I know that you shared those quotes with me. You may have heard them 1 or 2 times. I'm very grateful for the time that I got to spend with Fort Wayne Community Schools. And you notice that Dr. Daniel introduced me as junior. Senior is seated in the back there. I was not prepared for the impact that the school corporation has on the community. I was surprised. I was warned when I took the job that we would always be in the paper every day or every week. But we are the backbone of Fort Wayne. And I am impressed. Some of you I've known since the 4th grade, Faye. And Steve I've known for probably close to 40 years. But the time went by so fast. I did not anticipate that it would go by so quickly. But I may take Dr. Daniel up on his offer to come back and assist, but I don't know that it'll be in transportation.
David Davenport, bus driver, transportation, 15 and a half years. Dave was dedicated to the students of FWCS and was always a gentleman. His friendly ways had an impact on the students he transported day after day. Safety of his students was his top priority, and he reminded his coworkers that they work with valuable cargo and the details matter. He joined the list of, quote, rock star drivers because he knew his students by name and because of it had fewer problems on his bus. This new chapter in his life means many more hours of sleep, no more co-driver seats in the winter. Dave will have more time to make memories with his family, especially twin grandchildren who are the light of his life. Your transportation family will miss you and your smiling face. Could you stand, Dave? Julie Davies, teacher, Shambaugh. Julie, are you here? Hey, Julie. 32 and a half years. Julie was a master of understanding ELL students and their language development needs. So much so, she worked herself out of a job. Good thing she could retire. She was able to get a few students each year to test out of ELL. The students always enjoyed when Mrs. Davies showed up to pick them up for them from class. Her lessons were fun and engaging and pushed them to understand the English language. From the moment Julie joined Shambaugh, you could feel her impact. She started a free little library for the school, planted and grew a kindergarten sunflower patch with kindergarten students, and implemented a learning fair where students could share any kind of new learning on a topic of their choice. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, please.
All right. Julie Davies.
Well, I too am very grateful for 33 years with Fort Wayne Community Schools, and I've taught kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. I've been a building coach, a reading interventionist, and finished my career with the position as an ELL teacher. And Fort Wayne Community Schools did an outstanding job training me, spending time with colleagues to teach me this craft of teaching. I taught at over 11 different buildings, and every building I met and made a lifelong friend. There's a lot of principals in the room. I'd like to encourage you, if you have a teacher who maybe is struggling or maybe wants to change, encourage them to either within your building, try another position, or somewhere in the district. There's just so many needs, and we need these teachers to find maybe their niche. So thank you for 33 wonderful years.
Kathy Friend, Chief Financial Officer, 24 years. Kathy never met a challenge that couldn't be solved with a spreadsheet. As CFO, Kathy was in charge of all the district's financial matters. Under her leadership FWCS was successful in passing 4 referendums in 11 years, providing upgrades to every school building in the district, and most recently, establishing a funding source for security improvements, and wellness initiatives. Kathy is one of the few people in the state who understands exactly how school funding works. And she was never afraid to explain to state legislators what their decisions would mean for Hoosier students. While Kathy is serious about finances, she didn't shy away from having fun. She was a proponent of special dress-up days like Polka Dot Day and encouraged the third floor staff to go all out in their holiday decorating contest each December. Kathy's favorite part of the annual retirement dinner is hearing stories from the retirees. So Kathy, the mic is yours.
Well, I think you said about everything I would have said, so, but anyhow, it's been a pleasure and an honor to work for Fort Wayne Community Schools, and even though I've been gone for a while, it's still a little raw. First and foremost, our objective was always to make sure we were supportive of the schools, as well as all the departments, to make sure that people got what they needed, and help maneuver processes that might have been difficult, and also fiscal responsibility, to make sure that the community would never have to wonder whether we were doing the right thing by their tax dollars. And I appreciate my team. Some of them came tonight. Couldn't have done any of it without that support and the good work that they did. And even they like to have fun also. Us accountants, we like to have a good time. And I enjoyed every day. Honestly, I walked in the building every day without dread, because I knew I was going to be with a great group of people who had the same objectives that I did, not just on the third floor, but in cabinet and all through the Grio building. And it was a great place to be for all of those years. And I'm so appreciative. And this is the fun part, because you really should come and tell a little story too while you're here. So I tried to think of a story. So one story that I'm going to share, and they're short. I won't keep you forever, but
You have all night.
one of the times we lost our fight to get money for buildings was back in the day when we had the yellow and blue petition drive, and many of you may remember that, and it was very painful, and it was terrible for me. And I was standing on the corner of Coldwater and Coliseum at the Jiffy Lube, collecting signatures for the petition drive, and people could just come in, and we advertised you could come in and sign your petition. And one lady pulled in, and she gladly signed her petition and went on her way, and we were just so thrilled. And when we looked down after she drove away, she had written on for her name and address, Minnie Mouse, 1 Main Street, USA. So that one didn't count, obviously. And to make matters worse, she drove around Northcrest, came back around and cackled us as she drove past us on Coliseum Boulevard. So I'll never forget that moment. And the other funny moment, this is shorter. Dr. Robinson won the state superintendent of the year, and we all went down to Indianapolis to honor her that day. And Wendy and I did shop at the same places a lot, and Get as well. And lo and behold, we both walked in with the same dress on. So you might have seen that picture up there of Dr. Robinson and I. We had a dark green lace dress, and yeah, that was kind of embarrassing, but anyhow, thank you. Thank you.
Julie Glant, teacher, Northside, 15 years. As a member of the Northside teaching cadre, Julie exemplifies what it means to be a legend. Julie transformed the lives of ELL students with her deep care, incredible instructional skill, and profound understanding of students' needs. She helped to make Northside a home for students who have left behind their home. Because of Julie, ELLs at Northside go on to become better learners and better people. Julie is a selfless individual who always put the needs of others before herself and is willing to take on additional responsibilities to support students and staff. She is a consistent volunteer and supporter of Northside Dance and Theater Productions. Northside will remember Julie's patience and daily willingness to help anyone in need and mentor other members of the ELL department. She'd often send messages to all the staff members to recognize the accomplishments of her peers. Julie is one of a kind colleague and mentor, and what she has built over her many years at Northside will have a lasting impact on the department for years to come.
As an ELL teacher, especially at the high school level, when you have kids that come in from other countries, you are not just their teacher. A lot of the Latinos that we get in Fort Wayne, these kids are coming to live with an aunt and uncle that they barely know. And since you're with them for so long, because we teach in block classes, the ELL classes are in blocks, you're with their students more than they're with their aunt and uncle, you know? So you become like a den mother. You have to help them navigate this culture, clothes, boyfriends, phones, all kinds of things. I can tell you two quick stories. One is I had a senior, a Burmese girl, who was pregnant, and she was very embarrassed. Her people group would not smile kindly on her. And so it was towards the end of the year, so she would just wear really big baggy clothes. But I knew what it was like to be pregnant and go for 4 hours with no food. So I would bring carrot sticks and boxes of raisins and all kinds of things and just leave them on her desk for her. And then after she graduated, I told her, please call me when you're going to have your baby, because I was worried that she would not be able to communicate well at the hospital. Well, she waited. She did have her baby, but she called me like 2 days later and said, I'm calling to tell you I had my baby. And I said, oh my gosh, what's happening? Well, something was wrong with the baby, nothing major. They just found a bacteria or something, and they wanted to keep the baby at the hospital a couple of days extra to watch the baby. She didn't understand that, but they told her, you can go home if you want to. And so she thought she had to go home. So she had been at home maybe 36 hours without her baby when she called me. And I said, I'm coming to get you. I drove to her house, picked her up, took her to the hospital, and then I talked a long time to the nursing staff and said, these girls from Burma don't understand. They smile and nod because they want to be agreeable, not because they understand what you're saying to them. So then I could explain to her, you are the mom. This is your baby. You can stay here. Look, they have a recliner. You know, you can stay here with your baby. You can bathe your baby. You can nurse your baby. It's your baby. Okay, so that was one thing. Another thing is, every February, I have a ladies' tea at my house for all the mothers of my students who will come. Not many will come because they're afraid that they can't speak enough English to be understood. They don't want me to think they're stupid, so they won't come to my house. But over the years, I've met a lot of women and we've become friends, and some of them I'm still friends with, even though their kids have graduated and gone. We still hang out together, and it's just a wonderful part of being a teacher of ELL students to help these people become part of our community, because they're not visiting. This is their home. And I think the bridge between our culture and theirs is in our classroom.
Mayal Heath, teacher, Fairfield, 29 years. Mayal created an active music program at Fairfield Elementary with a classroom full of drum sets, guitars, keyboards, and other instruments for students to use and create music. Each year, she selects fun, engaging musical productions for students to perform for parents. She is a passionate musician who has created a student rock band and is now undertaking the creation of a staff rock band, the Rockin' Raptors. Students feel valued by her because she knows each student and what they need to be successful in music. Mayal will be greatly missed at Fairfield Elementary for her incredible organization and planning skills, positive attitude, dependability, and flexibility. Congratulations.
Yeah, the majority of my career I spent in other districts. So my last 11 years, though, have been at Fairfield, and I am so incredibly grateful that this is where I'm finishing my career, that I've been valued and welcomed and become such a part of the community that that's something I will carry with me for the rest of my life. As a music teacher, I get to watch the kids really grow. I get them from kindergarten clear up to 5th grade. And I've actually had some students come to me who've now graduated and say, you know what, you're the reason why I continued with music. And I could have had the worst day in the world, and as soon as I heard that, it's like, yes, that's what it's all for. So thank you.
Teresa Hope, nurse, health and wellness, 16 years. Teresa is the voice of experience, especially for the high school nurses. She runs a tight and efficient ship, which is essential when taking care of so many students. She is knowledgeable and compassionate when caring for sick or injured students. She has been a leader in creating innovative ways to ensure students have the immunizations needed for high school and for life after high school. Teresa loves teaching CPR in 10th grade health classes because she gets to connect with students in a different way and knows those skills could help protect lives in the future. Teresa loves Northrop and her fellow nurses. She never misses an opportunity to connect with her nurse peers and frequently stays after staff meetings to enjoy time with them. Teresa's biggest priority is her family, her husband Doug, her sons Greg and Michael, daughter-in-law Leah, and adorable grandsons Harvey and Archie. They're the apple of her eye. Congratulations.
I've really enjoyed my time at Fort Wayne Community Schools, but I love my nurses that I work with the most. We are a strong, stubborn group, and we have survived COVID. I'm going to miss them deeply, but at the same time, I can't wait to be with my grandkids.
John Hauser, Principal, Wayne High School, 37 years. John Hauser has worn many hats for FWCS over the years. He has made a lasting impact as a teacher, coach, assistant principal, and most recently and notably as principal of Wayne High School. John worked tirelessly to create a collaborative, caring culture at Wayne for the staff, students, families, and anyone that wanted to enter Wayne. A visit to Wayne isn't complete without finding John working with students, visiting classrooms, collaborating with staff, working in the back of the lunch line, and just doing everything he can to support whomever he can. He does as much as he can to live up to his motto, see if I get this right, love them up. Love them up. And leads by example in regard to the relationship he creates with students. John is a strong voice at the table in collaborations at the district level and with his peers as he works to ensure students at Wayne have an equitable learning experience. He will be remembered for his never-ending desire to be the voice for the Fort Wayne High School community. John House.
Well, first of all, I'm blessed just to be in this room tonight because this is a stellar group. When you're in a district for 37 years, you're going to be the teacher of some of your children, a colleague with many of you, my wife's first boss here in the district. And it's a small little world, and we're all fortunate to be part of this district, and I just am very, very appreciative of that. There are a lot of people sitting here right now that are a little bit worried about time limit and how long I'm going to talk. So I appreciate those of you who have already come up here and have kind of gone for a long while. So a lot of people have asked me what this is like, and it's hard. This is hard. And I'm going to get through it. And I'm going to talk about my favorite subject, and a lot of you think I'm going to talk about Wayne High School, but I'm not. I'm going to talk about my wife. So there are a lot of teachers in the Hauser family, but the best one is Nanette. That's my wife. She's a reading recovery teacher, literacy teacher, she started teaching a year before I did, and she has been an inspiration for me all along. I love being a principal, but I really loved being a teacher. Her attention to detail, her insistence on working with tougher kids. She works with kids that read below grade level. So she's not working with the gifted and talented. And she works in a district, she doesn't work in Fort Wayne. She works in a district that has no understanding of what it means to be data-driven, but she is data-driven. And that's where I learned it. That's where I learned. Follow your numbers. What do your numbers tell you? How do you react to it? And I've watched her for years, 40 years. She was a teacher probably about 3. She started teaching about 3 weeks after we were married. And I've watched her crouched over data. I've listened to her. And oddly enough, we talk education every day. We also take on jobs together. So one of my favorite stories is that I used to coach football. And I was the head football coach, proud to say, head football coach at a place called Elmhurst High School. All right. And took some time off, and a great, great man by the name of Russ Isaacs asked me to come to Snyder High School and coach as an assistant football coach. And I said to him, I said, hey, can I bring my wife to this job interview? And he said, sure. So it was at a restaurant. And it was that important for me because I knew what coaching was like prior to going to Snyder. And I knew that she had to be a big part of that decision. And it was a transforming decision for me because number one, I got to hang around with Russ Isaacs for 13 years. Other than my father, he has been the biggest influence on me. And so we came to an understanding, and it really transformed our daughters. Our daughters are Snyder graduates, which I'm very, very proud of. I wish they were Wayne graduates, but you know, that wasn't where I was at the time. So when I had this great opportunity, and I thank Dr. Robinson and I thank Faye for having enough faith in me to say, would you consider coming to Wayne back in 2013? And I talked about it with Nanette because I knew it wasn't just me. It was going to be us. And I knew how I operated, and I knew what this job meant to me. And I knew she was going to be side by side with me, and it's been an incredible journey. It's an incredible journey. And for the last, I'd say 3 weeks, she has helped me as this is getting to be more and more difficult. But she has really helped me. She understands what's happening, and she has been lovely and helpful. My job is to make students' dreams come true. But I had a revelation, 6-7 months ago. Fort Wayne Community Schools has made my dream come true. You're a classroom teacher, and I loved it. But at some time, you want to do something larger than that. And if I didn't have this opportunity and I didn't have the support group and you know, Rosie and Kathy, Heather Krebs picking out our furniture, Krista Stockman putting up with all of the missteps that I do when I communicate to the wrong person in the wrong order. Faye, I still reminisce about a conference call butt chewing in the spring of 2014 that I had with you. Those are just great memories that you live with. Next week, I get to work with Charles Kamek, Wayne grad, by the way. I get to work with Charles Kamek, and we're going to try to get some life back into our alumni association. But my dream has come true. I wanted to be a leader of a high school. I wanted to do it for 10 years. I stayed for 11. And then the other dream, too, would be that 40 years ago, I married this woman that helped me understand what it meant to be and how to be the best teacher that I could be, the best person that I could be. And she's going to work another year because she doesn't think I can retire, and she wants me to get all of whatever it is out of my system. And then we're going to have this great happy life together, and I look so forward to that. And in about, 18 months, I think if we're going to be able to do that. So everyone here, you're heroes. You're heroes. Don't ever forget that. And principals, I appreciate you being here. I really, really do. Our teachers and our staff members, and I can't tell you how important our nurse is. Ben Cook, and before that, Abby Knoebel, how important they are to the school and to the culture of the school. Everybody matters. And I was just so fortunate to be at this place where people came, they wanted to work, they wanted to stay. And again, my dreams came true, and I'm forever grateful to the district, Dr. Daniel for hanging on with me, again, Faye, and Wendy Robinson for giving me this chance. Thank you.
I think we just heard a love story. Patrick Hubler, teacher, Lane, 12 years. Having been on staff for only 2 years at Lane before retirement, Patrick quickly found a home at the Viking Nation. He built high-quality relationships with his students and colleagues and was a dependable presence in the hallway and at staff meetings. Patrick was a professional who took his work seriously, just like his IU and Notre Dame sports. He was a model employee, problem solver, enjoyed working with any and all kids, and often laughed with his students. Love to hear that. Patrick.
This is kind of how I started. I'm following a legend that just talked, and I actually started here following a legend at Blackhawk Middle School, Tim Mathias. I was actually hired as the principal at Blackhawk Middle. Let me back it up. I was the principal in Blackford County, and I interviewed for a 6th grade assistant principal job at Miami. But obviously I must have interviewed really well because I ended up at Blackhawk Middle School. Thank you, Charles Kamek. Thank you, Matt Schiebo, and thank you, Rita Turflinger, bless her soul. So I am very grateful for my time here in Fort Wayne Community. I started off in South Bend Community Schools, served as administrator in Penn Harris Madison, and then moved to Blackford County and then ended up here. But after 1 year, I really missed teaching. I had talked to Rita and just a lot of soul searching, wanting to spend more time with my family, and just realizing that my passion was in the classroom. And Rita made it happen, and she put me back in the classroom, where I went to Kikiyanga Middle School, worked with a great staff there, then, well, actually, I must have been so good because I ended up at Kikianga, Portage, Lane. So I've been around, and I have coached at Wayne. I was talking to Mr. Hauser about that earlier. So I've been around, and I can't say enough. It's been a great last 12 years here. Looking forward to retirement, spending time with my family. Although a lot of my administrators were Purdue fans, I forgive them for that, since I am an IU guy. And I will say I've worked with 3 of the best principals. Matt Schiebel. I've worked with Matt Herron, who's currently at Lane. And then also Mike Christner, who's at Portage. So thanks to them for putting up with me. And I appreciate everybody and all the times that I've spent with the great staff and all the wonderful kids that I've hopefully made an impact for. Thank you.
Kim Hoon, bus driver, transportation, 34 years. Kim's commitment and passion for serving students over the years has significantly affected families for generations. Her daily efforts to ensure each student who boarded her bus felt safe, secure, is a testament to her admirable qualities. She served as a mentor for new drivers, helping future leaders develop the passion and dedication needed to serve students. Kim prioritized her love for her kids and grandkids. Working in the transportation department gave her flexibility to spend quality time with her loved ones, creating unforgettable memories. And her affection for her family was mirrored in her relationships with her transportation colleagues. Thank you. Linda Millett, teacher, Harris, 30 years. Linda was a 4th grade student at Harris Elementary the very first year it opened. She was an FWCS substitute and worked at Adams before joining Harris, where she taught 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grades. She adapted to changing curriculum by implementing new teaching strategies, all while maintaining a calm and welcoming learning environment. Linda was in charge of both Young Authors and Spell Bowl for Harris students, giving up many evenings and Saturdays. She'll be remembered by many students for her positive influence on their growth and development, and for her love of Snyder football.
Thank you. It's a kind of a full circle moment. I was a 4th grade student at Harris, and I am ending my career as a teacher in 4th grade at Harris. Also being a Lane grad, Snyder grad, so FWCS was a big part of my life. I did have a great life experience subbing in Canada, moved to France, taught English, and then circled back to Fort Wayne. So great place to be, great people, great friends in all the different schools that I've been at. Friendships along the way that, you know, will be lifelong friends. And I appreciate being part of this fabulous community. I had planned on coming back as a sub, and now my son announced that he's having a baby in August, so I think I'm going to be a babysitter a couple days a week, but maybe sub once a week or something. So we'll work that out. But I think Fort Wayne teachers usually give their all, and I appreciate being part of this community. So thank you.
Get Nichols, Director, Elementary Education, 28 years. Get always considered the impact of district decisions on our community. Her ability to balance the complex needs of FWCS as a district with the needs of students and families was a true testament to her leadership skills. She had a caring spirit and always went above and beyond to ensure everyone felt cared for, regardless of their position or title. Get held a variety of positions within the district, from the classroom to central office. Nothing made her happier than watching students learn and mentoring adults to help them become better educators. Get.
Thank you so much. It's been a privilege to work for Fort Wayne Community Schools. I probably am one of the students that owe a great debt of gratitude to public education. I came to America when I was 4 or 5 years old, and those of you who are ELL teachers, I never had the advantage of an ELL teacher, but I can only imagine what that would have been like. For those of us who grew up in the 60s and 70s, you probably knew that that was a time of American school change. And I'm not going to give you a history of American schools, but instead of having ELL, I was identified as special ed. And then I was given speech, and hopefully my English improved, and it did. But I was also in a segregated school where I was the only minority because we had no African American or Hispanic students in our school. Back then, the schools were truly segregated. It wasn't until high school when I met my husband of 42 years that schools were desegregated. And if any of you remember back in the 70s, desegregation was a violent history in American school education. We had a lot of racial riots. Somehow or another, Joe, my husband, and I managed to get through it, and we fell in love. And I was very thankful for that opportunity. In fact, his mother was one of my teachers. And I am one of the few that could say I fell in love with my mother-in-law before I ever fell in love with my husband. However, having taught in Oklahoma, those of you that know how Okies speak, Joe, you will be glad that I was not a recent teacher. Back when I came to Fort Wayne to teach, my vowels were very elongated. And so probably most of my students learned that vowels were 2 syllables long at that time. However, being in Indiana, I learned how to shorten those vowels and truly teach probably phonics the way it should have been taught. So I am very thankful for the learning that I've had in Fort Wayne Community Schools. One of my first experiences in Fort Wayne Community Schools was at Arlington when Faye was principal, and I started as a volunteer. Then I became a substitute, and from there I was able to teach and move on into administration and then central office administration. I feel very thankful for those opportunities. And I also know that not only am I thankful for myself, but I'm thankful for our children who were raised here in Fort Wayne Community Schools in a diverse community. And as I look out among our district, I am thankful that not only I had that experience, but that my children had that experience. And as a result of their experience in Fort Wayne Community Schools and the diversity that exists and the wonderful learning experiences that they've had. John Hauser was their English teacher, and I credit John Hauser for being a great English teacher for my kids because they all managed to graduate from college and they write well to this day. I have one that's an attorney, one that's a researcher, another one that's in musical theater, and they all had John, and they went through Snyder, and we're very thankful for that also. At the end of the day, there are a lot of people that I have to thank for helping me to fulfill my life as an educator. As a young girl, I knew that I wanted to become a teacher because they were so wonderful to me. I would not have learned how to survive in this culture without teachers. So those of you who are teachers out there, a big thank you to you for what you do for all the students here in Fort Wayne Community Schools and for mentoring other teachers and other adults to love what they do. I want to end by saying that this is a great school district to work in, and I cannot imagine what life would have been like being retired. But after a few months of retirement, I do know that there's a happy life and a wonderful rainbow ahead, and I'm looking forward to that. Thank you, Dr. Daniel.
Frederick Rose, bus driver, transportation, 10 years. Fred was an exceptional driver who brought a burst of energy every morning with his quirky jokes and spontaneous, loud laughter. Conversations with him were never dull, especially in the early mornings before routes. Fred served the students he transported with dignity and went above and beyond to ensure students had a ride to school so they could receive an education. His patience as a special education driver brought smiles to his students' faces and a sense of security to their parents' hearts. Fred has an unwavering passion for cycling. Come rain, shine, or cold weather, he would embark on a cycling journey from the Foster Park area to South Transportation. When both centers merged, he meticulously planned his route to North Transportation from the south side of town. His selfless service to the Fort Wayne Community School family will be missed. Thank you, Fred. Bradley Samuels, teacher, Blackhawk, 38 years. Brad represents what it means to honor the great culture and traditions created at Blackhawk Middle School. This is evident by his willingness to go above and beyond his basic responsibilities to serve students and other staff members, working at athletic events, organizing dances, and leading trips to Washington, D.C. are some of the voids the school is left to fill. Brad has bled red, white, and blue with pride for the past 38 years, and even had his current principal, Dr. Virgil Griffin, as a student in 6th grade social studies in 1999. Dr. Griffin said it has been an honor to add a layer to their relationship. He had a great teacher from a student perspective and an awesome colleague from the perspective of a principal.
Thank you so much for coming out tonight. A few people to thank. First of all, just like John Hauser, I got to thank my wife. Tino applied for a teaching position here about 38, 39 years ago. She got hired, and then they go, hey, we understand your husband is a teacher as well. I've been teaching for 2 years down by Indianapolis. And she goes, yeah, and he just happens to be up there. He's got his resume. You want to talk to him. So we talked to Dr. Robbins, and we talked to Oscar Underwood. And within 20 minutes, we had both received a job here with Fort Wayne Community Schools, and we've loved every moment since. But I have to thank my wife. My wife is a teacher here for over 30 years as well. So a lot of my gratitude goes to her for helping me make this journey possible. But as I look out amongst this crowd, I see a lot of familiar faces. I see a lot of former parents, a lot of former coaches, children. I mean, a lot of their children were on our sports teams. I see a lot of former principals, and I want to thank those principals, Mrs. Froning, Dr. Griffin, obviously, Mr. Hubler, I want to thank you as well. Once again, Tim Mathias, but I also had Gordon Kloffenstein, Ted Davis, and I just had a lot of different principals that you probably recognize voices that made an impact in my life. But the one thing I want to leave you with is relationships. I think, yeah, I love the numbers and I love all that, but it's all about the relationships. It's all about being with those kids every day, day in and day out, talking to them, talking to my colleagues, talking to the parents at track meets and cross-country meets, when I work at the other athletic events, is building those relationships that have made the difference in my life. I have very close friends. Mr. Matt Schiebel, I've known him for a long, long time. I worked with his dad at Haley Elementary, and because of that, Matt's one of my best friends. So I appreciate him. Eva Trout, I coached with her in cross country for probably about 15, 16 years, maybe a little bit longer. So, there's just a lot of relationships. Julie Davies, I still have the eagle that you and Lindsay gave to me as a cross country and track coach, so I appreciate those things. So there's just a lot of things that I have to be grateful for. I'm grateful for our school corporation, obviously. I'm thank you for our current administration, and I wish nothing but the best to all you retirees. Get out there and travel every chance you have. I do lead trips to Washington, D.C., so if you are interested in that, we could probably work out a deal. But I will also say I am a lifetime blood donor, and so I would encourage you to get out there and donate blood, donate platelets. One of my future positions is as a volunteer driver for the American Red Cross of blood products. So I'm excited for that because what I grew up with here at Black Hawk and with Fort Wayne Community Schools, I'm taking with me to my next chapter in life. So thank you very much.
Tracy Saylor, teacher, Memorial Park, 31 years. Tracy's energy and passion for students is unmatched. She is an amazing team player and always willing to step in when needed. She gets to school before the sun even comes up to make sure everything is ready to go for the day. She is dedicated, teaches with fidelity, and encourages those around her. Tracy is a teacher who makes strong connections with students, and they appreciate the interest she takes in their lives. She greets students by their names and welcomes them not only to school, but into her classroom and her life. Tracy is high energy, especially if she's had one too many Starbucks. That can lead to fast-paced collaboration sessions. Her colleagues know she is dependable, always has something to say in a meeting, and is willing to share ideas and collaborate to help students grow. Her shoes will definitely be hard to fill. Congratulations, Tracy. Roberta Sexton, teacher, Maplewood, 14 and a half years. Roberta spent the majority of her career dedicated to nurturing young minds at Maplewood. Her name has become synonymous with passion, dedication, and a commitment to excellence that challenges and inspires her students. Her approach to education goes beyond mere academic instruction. She is a beacon of guidance, pushing her students toward high academic growth and cultivating character. This dual focus on academic and personal development is what sets Roberta apart from her peers. By setting high expectations, she motivates her students to reach for their best, instilling in them a belief that they are capable of overcoming challenges and achieving great things. Her method is not just about imparting knowledge, it's about awakening a thirst for learning and a drive for self-improvement. The success of her students within the classroom is a testament to her effective teaching methods, but it's their growth in character under her mentorship that truly highlights her influence. Roberta believes in the potential of every student, and she dedicates herself tirelessly to helping them realize that potential. Congratulations.
I began my career with Fort Wayne Community Schools in 1997. So I have like a dual career with Fort Wayne Community Schools. I was honored by being hired by my 5th grade teacher, Jerry White, who is no longer with us. He hired me for a special position. He said, "We need somebody that will run our clothing bank, who sees the need to give our students clothing, shoes, hygiene products, coats." I said, "I think I can do that. I know what that's like. I grew up that way, never knowing where my next meal was going to come from, never knowing if I would have a pair of shoes when my shoes were worn out. I said, I can do this. So I did that for 15 years, was the clothing bank coordinator. Secured grants, secured extra money, got community involved, worked with coats for the community, brought those into the facility where I was housed. I have seen so many students. I work with all of the case managers. I can't walk through a parking lot without a student, former student, kids that have been to the clothing bank. Mrs. Sexton, are you still around? Yes, I'm still around. I've also had the privilege of graduating from Snyder High School. It was a wonderful experience. My boys both went to Fort Wayne Community Schools. They had the privilege of working with, or well, learning from, not working with, but learning from Get Nichols. She was a humanities teacher back then. Price was a humanities magnet school. So I've known Get for a long time too. She's got to watch me grow up as a parent and form into this teaching career and work with other students. And thank you for being a role model for me. I really appreciate that. To you too. I just wanted to share that that's what helped me to be the teacher I am today. Focused, loving. You have to love them because they have so much baggage. There's so many things that can go wrong in their life every day. And they just need you to love them. Then once you love them, you can reach them and make them want to give you more, strive to be more than they really are at the beginning, and then you see at the end what they've come from here and they're clear up here. And the first thing I tell them every day at the beginning of the school year, my expectations aren't down here, they're up here, and you all can reach it. And that's the important thing about teaching, is reaching them, bringing them with you on your journey every school year. Thank you.
Belinda Smith, teacher, Fairfield, 16 years. Belinda has been an incredible asset to Fairfield Elementary as a talented teacher and the leader of the ELL team for many years. She keeps her fellow teachers, students, and administrators organized and prepared, and frequently asks clarifying questions during morning meetings. She has built great relationships with students and families, which remain strong years after the child has moved to middle school. She has the connection to Fairfield's weekly Mexican lunch, and the staff worries who will pick this up when you're gone. She takes her work seriously and has been consciously preparing the team for all year for her retirement. Belinda.
Had I known that we had an opportunity to speak, I would have done my little lesson plan. I'm one of those, but thank you for the opportunity. I am a little worried, Doctor, because there's 3 of us going.
Yes.
I don't know if there's any more there, but it's
a whole.
a little one. When my husband and I moved here, he was offered a job here in Fort Wayne, and we had to look it up in the map because we had never heard of Fort Wayne. We came here on a January winter break, and it was the coldest day of the year, but I came from Chicago, so we were kind of used to that. But we stayed here for 16 years now. And when I got here, I had 2 little grandchildren. We are at 8 now, and the 2 oldest ones have, one graduated last year, the other one's graduating this year. And I look at that as a milestone. As I was thinking about what on earth am I going to say to these folks, I have one story, and it's a recent one. We just got our WIDA scores back, and I love to sit with each student to give them their scores, and those that need an explanation get their explanations. Well, I was sitting down with a second-year student. It was his first year in Fort Wayne, but he's been in the country for 2 years. And I was showing him, this is what you got on the screener when you got here. Level 1, level 1, level 1, level 1. Look at where you're at now. You made it to a level 3. And he's looking and he's not understanding it. Then I, wrote down level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When you get to 5 and 6, you are no longer in ELL. So that's what we got to work towards. And he looks at me and he says, Mrs. Smith, do you mean if I get to a level 6, I'm not an ELL anymore? And I said, yes. And he says, but it's so much fun coming to ELL. So I am very grateful that I've been able to make ELL fun, because I could be hard at times, most times, but loving the children like everybody else is talking about, just working with them and being engaged with the families is what teaching is all about. Thank you.
Dwayne Stewart, teacher, Memorial Park, 20 years. Dwayne has been a constant figure at Memorial Park Middle School for 20 years. During his years, he has taught a mixture of language arts and social studies courses. He has diligently coordinated and worked tirelessly on the 8th grade recognition night for years. And in the past, he coordinated 8th grade ski trips. In the classroom, Dwayne ran a tight ship, but always showed a willingness to grow in the craft of teaching. He was known as General Stewart and will always be remembered for upholding school expectations. Students commented over the years on appreciating the structure within his class. Dwayne will be fondly remembered for his use of purple ink pens in his classroom. His Memorial Park friends said he loved to have fun after hours, outside of the school day, and wish him well as he travels and spends time at the lake. Eva Trout, teacher, Jefferson, 32 years. Eva's greatest contribution to Jefferson is her unwavering dedication to helping each student reach their fullest potential. She goes above and beyond to ensure that every student feels supported and encouraged in their learning journey. Eva's passion for teaching is contagious, and her innovative teaching methods inspire a love for learning in her students. She creates a positive and inclusive learning environment where all students feel valued and respected. Eva's impact on Jefferson is immeasurable, and her commitment to fostering excellence in education sets her apart as a truly exceptional teacher. Students will remember her as a compassionate and dedicated teacher who helped them understand a difficult concept, listened to their problems, and celebrated their successes. Eva's kindness and enthusiasm for teaching will be cherished memories for years to come.
Those were very kind words, because I'm kind of high-strung. And I would like to thank my husband, Jim Trout, because he's put up with me since our senior year in high school at Snyder High School. We are also graduates from there. I'm not very good at public speaking when I haven't prepared anything. I'd like to thank all the principals that have helped me become the person I am today. I'd like to thank all my friends. What a family we have here at Fort Wayne Community Schools. I am deeply grateful. When I leave here, I know that I don't have to worry about it. We're just going to have plans. We've already started making plans for what we're going to do this summer. It is that family. When we've had struggles, they've been here for us. When our kids have had struggles, they've been. When we've had weddings, we go to weddings. What a unique atmosphere where I have started here and I'm ending here. And without all of you, and I look out and I see I had started with Mr. Matthias, yay. He actually hired me because Matt Schiebel said, hey, I know you just had a baby 10 days ago, but wear a big dress and you can get this job. I mean, Matt was like the first person that drove us around in high school. I mean, this is like the family I haven't moved away from yet, and I don't think I ever will. My next chapter is going to be being a grandmother, but I do want to make sure I thank Kara Froning and Mr. Hubler and Nick Sharon and the people downtown who embraced me and taught me more about science than I ever thought I would know, because when I started, I was going to be a 4th grade teacher forever. And then without Matt's guidance and my friends like Brad Samuels, I'm going to get choked up, and all the years that we did cross country, and by the gosh, everybody in here can run, okay? So let's buy some sneakers, and when we retire, we'll all run together. So that's our motto. We love you. And just back at you, Mr. Hauser, my kids had you. You're awesome. I appreciate you.
Deborah Walton, teacher, Harris, 16 years. Deb has taught at Harris Elementary since 2018. She taught and substituted at several other Fort Wayne Community Schools elementaries prior to landing at Harris. She brought a cheerful personality, welcoming smile each day for her students and coworkers. Deb became a teacher later in her work career, but always hoped to use her degree to work with students. She is known for looking for the best, even in the most difficult situations, and was always willing to volunteer for duties beyond the classroom assignment. Deborah Walton. Sandra Youngins, teacher, Shambaugh, 32 and a half years. Sandy was at Shambaugh for the last 3 years of her career as an interventionist. She was able to move many students and their reading levels, and was a support to teachers with suggestions for working with students and sharing insight on reading instruction. Sandra would also jump in and support the school in other ways, from assisting with planning the fall festival and volunteering for other after-school events. Her dedication to Shambaugh School leaves a hole to fill. Thank you, Sandra. Catherine Zuha, teacher, Fairfield, 13 years. Kathy made a positive difference in the lives of many Fairfield students. She was recently trained in Orton Gillingham method of teaching phonics and uses this instruction to build literacy skills for students of all ages. She has seen firsthand the difference in students' abilities in word decoding and overall reading achievement. Kathy brings real-world experience to her job, having worked in sales, medical billing, and at Warner Brothers Studio as a senior international marketing executive. Fairfield's back lot may not be as glamorous as Warner Brothers, but she did a great job with student management during car rider dismissal. She has been a great asset to the Fairfield team, and staff is grateful and thankful she kept trying and saved the best school year for her last year of teaching. Kathy.
I don't know how I got here. Because I worked in the private sector my whole life. I was born and raised in Fort Wayne. I moved out to Los Angeles, and I worked, again, as I said, in the private sector. My last job was at Warner Brothers. And I decided to come back to Fort Wayne. My dad was getting older, and so I was back here. I was in my early 50s. And a friend of mine told me, you know what, Fort Wayne Community Schools really needs substitutes. So I applied and I started substituting mostly at Maplewood. And I fell in love with a particular kindergarten class. And their teacher was out for the first week of school, and I thought, oh my gosh, don't blow it, Kathy. And I just fell in love with those kids, so I started transition to teaching and became a special ed teacher when I was 54. So you guys are all so young. So anyway, my last year, well, actually, Matt Schiebel hired me. You interviewed me while I was still in California packing up, and he still hired me. There was one special ed job in 2012 in August, in the beginning of August, when I got my license, and I got it. Just one job was out there at that time. Thank you, Matt. And my last year, I'm at Fairfield Elementary. I love the littles. I just really am so thrilled that I got to spend an entire year in an elementary school. With all of my jobs I've had, I just realized, though, that the most purposeful job I had was being a teacher. And everybody in here, I love being around teachers. I love being around educators because we are special people. And I just am so grateful for everybody as well. Thank you.
Sharon Wilkins, Secretary, Jefferson, 29 years. As school treasurer, Sharon's greatest contribution was her meticulous attention to detail and financial management skills. She ensured that the school's budget was carefully monitored and allocated, making sure every dollar was spent wisely. Her dedication to the school, staff, and customer service set a strong example for others in our school community. Through her hard work and commitment, she contributed to the school culture needed to support student learning and achievement. Sharon always went above and beyond to help others. Her kindness and generosity knew no bounds, as she always put the needs of others before her own. She truly embodied the essence of selflessness and compassion. Thank you, Sharon. So to conclude, I think you're hearing a common theme. Family, love of students, love of colleagues, love of how do we constantly put others ahead of ourselves. To me, that embodies educators from, and I think when I hear educator, it means every single employee of Fort Wayne Community Schools. Thank you for your years of dedication, and again, visit us, please. Your colleagues would love to hear from you. Thank you. Enjoy your next many travels that you have and the various other phases of your life. Well earned, and you're highly respected. Thank you and good night.